pretty obvious you guys feel like you have a lot to prove this year.
It's the first time in my career that we're going into this year probably not being a playoff team by a lot of people's metrics. We're a playoff team every day of the week, in my mind. I think we have more than enough. We have everything we need on this roster to be that. So that's the goal.
Well, I guess naturally the first question, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Great. I got to a really good place towards the end of the season. Didn't make sense to play because unfortunately we weren't really in the playoff picture. It was better to prioritize health at that point. So for me, I've been healthy since around late March, April, and that allowed me to just have a really great summer, longest I've ever had, an opportunity to work on a lot of things, and going into this year, just feeling great about all the work.
Anything in particular you worked on? You said, this is what I'm working on this summer.
Yeah, I think nothing different from what I've done, just more, I guess I would say. So, I mean, obviously I've had a few injuries along the way, the nature of the game, but for the last few summers I've had things in the gym, on the ice, off the ice that you kind of have to stay away from because it brings you discomfort, things of that nature. This was the first time in a long time this summer that I was able to just do everything. There was nothing that I wasn't able to do. So for me, that meant a lot mentally, just to know that I'm in a state health-wise where I can do everything. I can lift the way I want. I can train the way I want. And I think it just has given me some joy back in that aspect, but also some excitement to, a little bit of going back to a feel as though I'm going back to the player that I am and the person that I am.
Well, it's good to hear. It's always great to see someone start the season in the best mindset. We spoke to Hampus Lindholm in Italy a couple of weeks ago, and he really detailed some of the stuff that we didn't know about what he went through last year.
Yeah.
I know you're careful about this, but there's a lot we never really heard what happened. Can you take us through as much as you are willing to about what happened last year?
Yeah, every time I complain about how long it's been since I've played, I have to remember Hampus because he went through his own battle there with an injury that was cost him his season after playing roughly like 15 games, and he means so much to us. So we are such a better team when he's available to us. So I'm thrilled for him to be back and healthy. For myself, it was just unfortunate. We were having a great time playing in that tournament, and really enjoying that experience. I ended up I had a grade 5 AC separation, and my AC joint ended up going septic. So that was what happened. Mostly my biggest takeaway was just really grateful that we were in Boston. Felt extremely blessed with the healthcare I received there and the doctors that are just world class, and I just can't thank them enough for the job that they did getting me back to full health. So if anything, I'll take this opportunity to just tell them how appreciative I am.
If I could ask, there was a rumor that it was life-threatening or anything like that. Was it ever like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, so it starts in your AC, and now you're showing tracks of it coming closer to your heart. So now you're getting worried. And there were sort of two sets of plans for if it had gotten any further, which is when it does become life-threatening, if it gets to your heart. And, fortunately, we didn't get there.
Good.
So, we were able to act fast enough to go in and, get everything cleaned up before we got to that point. Just another opportunity for me to say how grateful I am for the healthcare I received there, at MGH.
Glad to hear you're healthy, Charlie. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And understandably, I mean, you're very emotional talking about it all at the end of the season with everything else going on. How did you eventually just make peace with it all and look past it?
Yeah, it was just a tough time. Obviously, I had a newborn at home, and Kylie, and we were just, we were going through some stuff with him, and then I had my thing, so it was just a lot to deal with. But um, our support system is so great with our families that we had, all the help that we needed, and just surrounded by so much love. So we're able to get through something like that. I think after, when I kind of knew that my season was done, I think that was when it was extremely frustrating. You want to play. It's no fun watching your team lose. They're going through it, and you can see it. And they're trying as hard as they can, and guys are putting their bodies on the line, trying to get results, and you're just not getting them. So you can't help. You're out of the fight. You're trying to get lost in the room. You're trying to not be a distraction. You're sort of coming in at different hours of the day. So you're not in there. You're not in the grind with them, and that stinks to watch them go through that. But it helped me sort of find the love again for hockey, having it taken away, having a longer summer to train and put in a lot of work. So I just feel refreshed coming into this year, and I'm just really excited to get back, and we're very close, and I can't wait for this season.
So my son's 13 now, but I remember the early days. Kyle, like you, was also a new dad. I can only imagine that there were times like when you weren't feeling great, and then when you were feeling better, we're just going home and seeing your boy. And I know at the beginning, he only cares about the mother because the mother's doing the feeding.
She's everything to
So
him,
that's right. So he does. So he's like, who's this other person? I don't need them. But how has fatherhood changed you? Like, how do you feel when you go home now?
I can't wait to go home every day. I think that's the biggest thing. You leave in the morning and you go to the rink, and you do your lift, and then you go and skate and all that, and so now I've been gone at 7-1, and I feel like I just can't get home fast enough to go see him. And Kylie for that matter. I think it just creates, our family is everything to me. It's my happy place, being at home. I think it's changed me in all the best ways you could ever imagine.
That's awesome. So after the McAvoy jersey, whose jersey will your son wear second? Who gets to be the second Bruins jersey?
So if it's anything like all the other guys on the team, I am not going to be his favorite player, because that seems to be a common trend.
Really?
Yeah, through all the guys. I think, yeah, my dad's cool, but, I like pasta. And I remember, I remember Connor. Connor was a big fan of mine. But when why did dad score tonight? But maybe I did. He was more happy that I did.
Did you ever say, no offense, but I'm better than your dad?
No, his dad's the best. Oh my God, I love that guy. I think it will be funny. So, and in so many different cases, like it tends that the kids love their dad, right? But he's somebody else's. He wants somebody else's jersey.
Yeah.
So I assume he'll probably be a big Pastrnak fan. That's probably an easy one. Yeah, I think that's a good one to start with.
Not a bad. And I love what you said at the beginning of the spring of just like, what an opportunity. Like, so much change with the organization at the deadline. Much of the ties to the 2011, the 2013 team, like Marchand now in Florida. How are you viewing now? I don't know if you completely call it a blank slate within the organization, but the first time in a long time, like there's a different look to the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, I think you're not wrong. It does feel like a blank slate, okay. I think. I feel like for the longest time, when we had those guys, we could always rely on that we had winners in the room, that we had guys that had been there, done that, and knew what it took. Well, now we don't. So now we have to become the guys that just trial by fire, just learning how to do it, how to win, because we can't rely on them anymore. So I think it's a different kind of hunger when you can't really fall back on that. That we all have something to prove to ourselves. I think we're going through a time now where we're trying to, rebuild the culture, which will be built on all the things that those guys taught us. Those are certainly going to be the pillars. That's not going to change. Maybe the messaging and how we deliver it with the new generation of guys, younger guys now, it's just different from when I came in. There's really no way around that. So how we present it maybe will be a little bit different, but it's certainly going to be built on the foundation that those guys created.
You always knew Marchand had quite a personality to him, obviously, but it seemed like it went to a whole new level last year in Florida in the playoffs. What was it like watching that as one of his friends, someone who knows him well?
It was just awesome to watch. For me, it was inspiring to see him. That's a guy that I've spent, every second with since the moment I got into the league. It was just fun. Like, so you see a guy that's here and it was just unfortunate what our season looked like last year. It wasn't what we all thought it was going to be going into camp. It was hard. It was hard times. We're not healthy, and you're seeing the struggle that those guys are going through every day when we're not getting results. Guys aren't healthy. It's not the atmosphere that we wish we had on every other year when we've been a playoff team. So then you take a guy like Marshy and you flip him to Florida, and it was almost like a little bit of a rebirth, right? And you just saw it was sort of like a new lease on life type thing. He was there. He was happy. He's playing on a team that's winning. I can imagine his stress level was a lot less. We asked a lot of Brad to be sort of Mr. Everything for us. In there, I think he slotted into a role where he didn't have to do that, and he excelled in it. So watching him play with joy and have fun and be able to go win, it was just great.
Does Jeremy Swayman always refer to himself in the third person, or was that just for recent media interviews?
No, I don't. Always.
He does?
Always.
No, you're kidding
Seriously?
me.
Yeah, he's just the bulldog. He's in third person.
I saw that the other day and I couldn't stop laughing.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't do that. I've never heard him do that.
Just yeah. I
You-
was looking
you
for
had
more
us.
examples now.
You-
I've never heard him do that.
You had us, that's for sure.
I got a funny text the other day about that. I didn't know what they were talking about.
Oh, the team was even talking about it?
Yeah,
Oh, he's going to get ripped mercilessly.
What is it? He made a video talking
Well,
about
so no, they were interviewing him at one of the captain skates. Obviously the questions were about how do you feel this year? And he was like, Jeremy Swayman feels great. Jeremy
Oh,
Swayman's
come on.
No, I'm serious.
Oh,
That's
I'm
what
gonna
he
give
said.
it to him when I get home. Don't worry. All right, yeah. So yeah, I got a funny text the other day about him talking in third person, and I didn't know what they were talking. I just thought it was funny. now I understand the context.
I just wonder, a couple of things from the old era, as you say, that like where you all learned under, that you're going, that is still going to be part of what we do going forward, even though you've got a different generation of teammates coming in the future.
What are we taking from that?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just curious how they went about things to
yeah.
certain standards.
So I think the biggest thing about being a Boston Bruin is the pride that you have to take wearing that jersey.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that transcends for forever, over 100 years of people that have so much pride in wearing that jersey. They still come back. They're in the room. It's obviously I've never played anywhere else, but we have such a strong alumni of guys that come and talk about what it meant to them to be a Boston Bruin, which I think is so neat because I come from a college background where people talk about it the same way. So you almost sort of have that feel of it. I don't think there's anything cooler in the world than that, than being a part of a group. What it means to everybody. That's the biggest thing. We can't ever lose that. So I think that you have to sort of introduce that to the new guys. that maybe have worn a few different jerseys in their career, that it means more to be here playing for the Bruins. That's probably the biggest thing that we can take away, and I'd say the most important.
From talking to Hampus, it's pretty obvious you guys feel like you have a lot to prove this year. That this is a motivated, annoyed group.
Yeah, you're not wrong. We got everything to prove. I think we've this is the first time in my career that we're going into this year probably not being a playoff team by a lot of people's metrics. We're a playoff team every day of the week, in my mind. I think we have more than enough. We have everything we need on this roster to be that. So that's the goal, and that's the objective, and our standards don't deviate regardless of what people think we may or may not be. We went out and got guys that are going to make us a tough team to play against. So I think we're going to buy into that as best we can, and I think our team objective is, we're going to be a tough out every time you play the Boston Bruins.